Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Over the Top Talk. I'm your host, Owen, and I was watching the Red Sox game. I was watching the Dana White Contender Series, and I was like, why don't I just, go on a live stream, by myself and talk about UFC 320 that is upcoming this Saturday. And I also wanted to, kind of make my fight predictions because who knows what's going to happen. We could have fighters pull out. What you'll know about this, I'm only going to be doing the main card because, to be honest, I'm kind of just decided to go live and kind of quickly. So I'll only be kind of breaking down the main card a little bit. I think there's 5 fights on the main card. But before we get into it, I'd appreciate you all if you guys could follow us over on our Instagram, Over the Top Talk. We're most active over there. I'd say we post, a couple clips a day. We post all our interviews over there, rails and such. And also make sure to follow us on Twitter. We don't use Twitter as much, but you will see, me and Anthony tweet on there. I think we tweeted something, last night about the football game. And also on TikTok, we are under my tag, ODoggin16. But you should see. I think my profile picture is the Over the Top Talk logo over there on TikTok. So I'd appreciate you all if you guys could drop a follow on these 3 accounts. We also just hit 100 subs on YouTube, so we appreciate you all very much for that. Me and Anthony have been kind of on the grind for almost, I'd say almost 2 years now. We just started getting the UFC, the interviews like we do, these short UFC card breakdowns and predictions like I'm going to be making in a couple moments here. But yeah, overall, can't wait for Saturday night. It's going to be a great event. We haven't really got a, huge pay-per-view like this in a while where I'd say the main card, all 5 fights are stacked, especially the last 3, which I'll break down like I said in a couple moments here. What I want everybody to know when you'll see, I like to run the fights at the bottom, like an example here, Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. I like to add the lines as well, betting lines for these fights as well, obviously subject to change. The fighter lines are always moving, usually closer, so it's Tuesday, so probably move like a little bit for some of these fights, especially as I break down this card. I'll shout out a couple of these betting lines, but I might as well break down this fight because I have it on the screen. But Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer, I'm pretty sure these dudes are on 3 fight win streaks, if I'm remembering correctly. Joe Pyfer obviously being the favorite in this matchup. I will be going with Joe Pyfer because I'm a fan of his. I like his striking, grappling. Magomedov on the other side, as well as 3 wins in a row. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who those wins were against, as well as Joe Pyfer. I think Joe Pyfer's fought more recently too, as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Joe Pyfer. The toughest part about these fights is, I feel like every time I make a prediction, whether it's decision, KO, submission, I feel like I just end up, getting them completely wrong. But I think I'll go with Joe Pyfer here by, screw it, we'll just say Joe Pyfer by way of knockout. I keep forgetting these are 3-round fights up until the co-and main, which we actually haven't had a co-main and main event be a 5-round fight for a little bit. So I'm excited for this matchup. But kind of moving on to Josh Emmett versus Youssef Zalal. Once again, Zalal, heavy favorite. It's not really a shock there. He's on a tear. 5 or 6 win streak. I think I might be wrong on that. Josh Emmett, I think, lost recently too to, if I'm not mistaken, Murphy maybe. Someone can fact check me on that, but these two men, I think I'm gonna go with Yusuf Air by KO. And I'm saying that as a Josh Emmett fan, and I'm a huge fan of Josh's. I've also really started to like Yusuf Salal because he's on a little tear there, a little sneaky um, fighter there. Um, Obviously, heavy favorite, not a shock, like I said. I'm going to go with Yusuf Salal by way of knockout. And moving down to the fights that I'm a little bit more, I can kind of remember stuff off the top of my head because these two dudes fought more recently. But Khalil Roundtree Jr. versus Yuri. With Yuri technically getting I think he got a college degree in between his last fight and now. So obviously huge things for Yuri, kind of in his off season, I guess you can call it, for these fighters. But I think this is the sleeper, fight of the night. I think this can easily be fight of the night. And I think if Marab versus Core, obviously, if they weren't on this card, I think this Khalil versus Yuri would, probably take that co-main event spot. But it's sitting at the third to last fight of the night, which I'm not upset about. It's going to be a great fight between these two men. Obviously, the betting lines right now are favoring Yuri, but honestly, I think those could honestly be equal. And technically, both these guys are looking to get back into title contention. With even Yuri, I think Yuri's the backup fighter for the Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev fight. If either of those two men were to pull out, but hoping, as I'm live here, hoping nobody ends up pulling out, especially on this main card. I hope everyone makes weight. They'll be making weight in less than 2 days now, so hopefully everyone makes weight. But to talk about this fight specifically, both these men have looked amazing their last fights. Even Roundtree, his striking's gone a lot better. Obviously, I think his last fight was a loss, if I'm not mistaken. This is what happens when it's only me on here. I tend to forget things. But yeah, Roundtree's definitely improved a ton. Yuri as well. I think Yuri in his last fight looked really good as well. I think that one was against Hill, where he won. Which Hill's fall off, so a whole different conversation for a different time. But these two men, I think, are going to put on an absolute war. If I were to pick a guy to win, it would be very hard for me to do. But I think I'm going to have to go with Yuri, just based off of the momentum and how huge another win would be for him, looking to get back into the title picture. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Yuri here. Obviously, 3-round fight. I think this could easily be a 5-round fight, but obviously isn't a co-main event. But I think I'm going to go with Yuri here by, I think, unanimous decision. I don't think it's going to be a KO. Like I said, Roundtree's looked amazing in his last couple fights. Same as Yuri in that last fight he just had not too long ago. So yeah, I'm going to go with Yuri by way of knockout. Actually, I just said unanimous decision. See, this is what happens when I just throw together a live after watching the Contender Series and Red Sox game. But yeah, I'm sticking with Yuri by unanimous decision. Don't know why I just said knockout. But kind of moving on here to our co-main event of UFC 320. Merab versus Corey, which just earlier today, Merab's coach was talking about, or I think Merab said, I don't think his coach said it, but Merab said how he's going to go into that cage looking to strike with Corey because Corey's mainly a striker, but then you have Corey's coach saying for some odd reason to go for grappling exchanges or at least try to take down Marab. When I really don't think that would be smart for Corey to attempt takedowns because we've seen Marab. He can easily stuff takedowns. He loves stuffing takedowns because he has stamina that lasts forever. He's done like 105 round fights at this point. Um, I'm gonna be on the side of the fence where I don't think Corey really has a chance in this fight. Maybe if it stays on the feet, because Corey's a really good, striker. Um, but I think Merab's just gonna do what he, has done to Umar, what he has done to Sean O'Malley, and that is where he will tire you out. Take you down. Not really go. I can't really say go for grappling exchanges. Technically, Sean O'Malley got. Sean O'Malley had a tapo more recently. I think in this fight specifically, it could go one of two ways. I think Corey could also be submitted, but I think it could also go the full 5 rounds. I'm obviously going to go with Merab. I think he's going to. I've been kind of sitting there thinking that Merab's going to submit Corey and get a second finish in a row. I think it would also be kind of huge for Merab to get another finish like that because people give Merab a lot of crap for kind of just hugging his opponents most of these fights. But yeah, I'm going to go with Merab by way of submission within, I'd say, 3-4 rounds. But I could easily see this going the full 5 rounds. I think even Merab said he wants it to go like 5 rounds to like the last 15 seconds. So wouldn't be shocked if this goes the distance. But overall, I think Merab, I think comparing this fight to the Sean fight, I think this is a way easier fight than the Sean fight. But, we'll have to wait and see. We got obviously less than, I think, 4 days now. So actually I think about 3 days. But moving on to the main event, which I'm also very excited for. I, love Alex Pereira, obviously being the underdog walking into that cage. Not a shock at all. After that, last fight against Ankalaev, where I've been saying it, I don't think that Alex Pereira was exactly on, 100% going into this fight, but obviously a loss was a loss. Ankalaev has been the champ now for quite a few months, but I'm glad they did end up getting this rematch, set up. But yeah, that last fight I had Alex Pereira, by way of knockout. Obviously didn't happen. I ended up going the full 5. I always stick with my guys. I love Alex Pereira. I think he's going to go into this fight a lot more healthier than he was in the first fight these two men had. The only thing that's a little bit kind of airy is that I think as of Friday or Saturday, he was like way over the limit that he has to make weight at. I think like 50, 55 pounds. So I'd love to see I'd love to see a couple videos of what this weight cut looks like for Pereira. But it's usually never an issue. Alex usually makes, weight fine. I don't think it'll affect him either. I think, him being heavier in that octagon will help him as well. And honestly, in that last fight, I've told people this, the striking. I don't think the striking was as much of an issue. It was more of the, I don't even know if you can call it smothering because Ankalaev had a ton of. I think every takedown attempt he had, he failed, if I'm remembering that correctly. And then Alex kind of just I feel like Alex got really gassed out in that last matchup. not taking away anything from Ankalaev. I just don't like his, coaches. I think more of the drama comes from his coaches, not really him himself. But um, Ankalaev, obviously being the champ, he's walking in there. Believe also undefeated. It's not a shock why you would also be the heavy favorite for this. Not sure if that line's gonna change, by the way. Um, but if I was a sports bettor, I would probably hammer Alex Pereira. Just because I think it's gonna be Alex Pereira by knockout. Um, just based off of the first matchup, like I said. Not to make excuses, but I don't think Alex Pereira was close to 100% walking in there last time. I think he's even said it himself, how Ankalaev couldn't, he, Ankalaev, I think, won that last match like 3-2. I forget what they ended up final scoring it, but I know it was a closer fight than they made it seem. But overall prediction, I'm going to go with Alex Pereira by way of knockout. I don't know what round. Screw it, let's just say Alex Pereira, round 4 KO. And like I said, kind of just wanted to come on air short, keep it short and sweet. We got UFC 320 on Saturday night. I also wanted to come on air because, I always like talking about UFC whenever I can. And I really don't do a lot of these, short live streams on Instagram and YouTube. So I appreciate everyone who watched. Thank you all again for 100 subs. Me and Anthony are very grateful for, every single one of you, especially the ones over on Instagram, on our Twitter and TikTok as well. Make sure to follow us over on Instagram. Send us messages. Don't be afraid to, message us to collab. We're pretty easy people to work with. You just have to hit us up with a message. We reply to everyone. We're very quick to, because, as soon as it comes across my phone, I usually will respond to you over on Instagram. Instagram's where, you can message us about pretty much everything. But like I said, make sure to follow us over on Instagram. That's where our rails are. That's where you'll find live streams such as this, clips from our interviews. We got a lot of WWE content coming up. Obviously, it's John Cena's retirement tour. Me and Anthony will be breaking down the next card as well. I don't know why I forget what card is next up. Actually, Crown Jewel. Me and Anthony will be breaking down Crown Jewel very soon as well. Obviously, John Cena's 5 scheduled appearances left. So you'll see a lot of Cena content as well on our page the next couple months up until he retires at the end of the year. We have UFC 320 coming up. We got a couple interviews I got scheduled. You'll see those as well come up on the YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. So, never miss a notification. Screw it. I think you can even turn on notifications over on our Instagram to see, when we post. So I'd appreciate if you would turn on post notifications over on Instagram, over on YouTube as well. Make sure to drop a sub, drop a like. It helps our algorithm. We appreciate you guys all. And thank you for tuning in for the short live. Kind of piece this, up kind of quickly. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, short UFC 320 predictions, and we will see you all in the next one. Thank you, everybody.